Welcome back to TV Toastmasters. I'm your host for this segment, Rob Canfield. I'm also a member of Moser Community Toastmasters. Today my special guest is Leah Mirelez. Thanks for coming on the show today.
Thank you.
I understand you just started a business, I believe, last July, if I remember correctly.
Yes, Consulting Services PDX.
Consulting Service PDX. What a great name. Tell me about your business and tell us all about it.
Okay, well, I am a business consultant currently working with commercial contractors to bridge the gap in our community to help them win large contracts with the Port of Portland, City of Portland. A lot of our community has a lot of contracts, and a lot of contractors don't quite know how to get there, and using a consultant like myself helps them, educate them, and learn if they want to go after and win large contracts.
From what I understand, what we've talked about before is these smaller contractors, maybe they've been in business a year, maybe 5 years, they want to get a bigger piece of business. And I guess there's a lot of paperwork and red tape involved, and is that what you help them with, is get the process to where we can get the larger contracts, be more successful?
Yes, as a consultant, I consult with them about the actual entire process. So a contract itself, the project is an entire, I want to say it's an undertaking. So if you look at it from the perspective of the contractor does the work, but that's one facet of the company. Then the other new facet of these larger contracts are an entire paperwork process. And the paperwork process is so important because it actually gives you the end result, which is the paycheck for the contractor.
Okay.
And also that means that the end of the project has come to fruition too for the client. So it's not just about consulting about the project, it's talking about the whole entire process with the contractor. So to show them, here's how we're going to build this project, here's how we're going to get paid for this project, and this is how we're going to end and hand over the project to the client.
Okay.
And that's how I can help them from growing from being a small contractor, doing it just with a smaller business, to using to a larger entity that takes a lot of process. They do a lot of paperwork, like you said, and at the end of the day, if you've never heard of what's called a pay application, you need to be able to know that, because that'll get you your actual paycheck for your job. So I'm here to help bridge that gap.
Never heard of that pay application before. Now, I'd imagine a lot of contractors, small business contractors, they maybe have a staff of maybe themselves and a couple other folks who have actually help them with the jobs, but they don't have any back office folks.
That's correct.
To do what you do. Give me an example of perhaps a client, you don't have to name them, but what's from point A to where they're getting actually paid, what's that like?
Okay, well, in construction contracting, it actually could be a long-term thing, okay? So there's a lot of things. So first of all, they have to go after the contract in the beginning, and normally they'll have to do what is called an estimate. So they'll have to deliver an estimate to the client. Okay, so that's a process. They have to have an estimator on staff. And usually, again, if they don't have a hired estimator, it's going to be the owner. So in my consulting world, I may tell them you may want to hire an estimator so that you can start producing bids on a repetitive basis, not just at 1 or 2 a year. Maybe you could do it 12 a year and win larger contracts.
Okay.
Okay.
Where do you find your clients?
Okay, well, I find them mostly, again, actually out in the city, okay? A lot of times, like I told you, I belong to the Portland Business Development Group, and a lot of contractors, general contractors, minority firms belong to that as well. And so we all kind of hone together, trying to, as entrepreneurs and people who want to drive business, we find each other. So I found them through the Portland Business Development Group, and I also do what I call feet on the street.
Okay.
I will actually stop at a construction site and look at the construction workers, and not just the actual workers. I'll look who's wearing their safety gear, who's doing the things right, because if those people are doing the things right, I want them on a project that I am working on.
So I understand from your previous job, you were a safety specialist with a large corporation. That comes in handy. Now you know what to look for if a company is operating a job safely or not.
Correct.
And does that what you're saying, it figures into whether you want to work with this company or not? How do they pay attention to the safety aspect of the job?
Right. Safety is really important. As you know, the health and wellness of all of our employees and people is important. So being safe it's saving money and saving lives. And so, again, to me, if you are doing it safe and you're playing by the book, you're telling me that your company cares about your employees and cares about the project, because we would only enforce it if we actually care about it.
Sure. Now, every city has ultra huge construction companies, or they're worldwide construction companies. Hoffman Construction, H.A. Anderson. I mean, there's a myriad of these humongous companies. What's it like for these smaller contractors to find subcontracting work with these huge companies?
Okay, so the work is all available, but it's that paperwork pieces to get to it. So there's a lot of details. There's, have you ever heard this comment, there's the devil is in the details,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Well, there's a lot of details to projects. And so that's, again, where they're out there, and people like myself want to come and help educate and make sure that we understand contract terms, and project language, so we know who's responsible for what, the money aspects of it, because again, working capital, are you going to need working capital for the project before the project starts, before you get on a pay application to start getting paid for mobilization and things
Sure.
like that. So
Do
those people do have them. They have earmarked project monies for minority firms and smaller contractors, but you really do need to show up and be at events to be able to win those projects.
Now, for minority companies and women-owned companies, are there special challenges and burdens they have to get access to subcontracts with these larger companies?
Well, I say that they have a greater opportunity, is how I would like to say that our community has really opened up diversity and inclusion, and really want to support it by earmarking 20% of projects being set aside for companies who have diversity and do have inclusion, women-owned, minority firms, veteran-owned firms as well. Okay.
In the Portland area, what would you say is the acceptance and willingness to work with minority-owned companies? What would you say the landscape is?
Well, I feel like that we're really just now scratching the surface. We are getting there by the larger contractors making it a mandatory event that you use a minority contractor at some level. But at this point, I feel like we're just scratching the surface. It isn't to say that in the future, I feel like 20% will be a smaller number than we will see. I think it'll grow to more like 40, because we have a lot of diversity and inclusion right here all the time around us. We just need to be accounted for it.
Sure. Now, you got some contractors and you're helping them with the process, the paperwork, the regulations, and just having them jump through all the hoops. What can you give an example of some of the, maybe not have to name names, what some of the success stories you've had of someone who started out smaller and you helped them get a bigger piece of the construction pie?
Absolutely. So I was working with a general contractor, and the contractor was vetting in monies about $550,000 a year in contracts. So that would be contracts completed. And I came along and we talked about contracting, and we talked about contracting with agencies, and we were able to secure a 3-year, $5 million contract with a very large agency. And so that really changes the scope for that company. They don't have to try to vet work for 3 years if they're happy with the $1.67 million that they'll receive a year.
Now, before we started the show, you mentioned that you really found yourself not just as a consultant, but you were a community advocate. Yes. Tell me about why you feel that is really your role.
Okay, well, another one of those big roles is the big guys, the Hoffmans, Skanska, Anderson. They can hire anyone they want to build our buildings here. And that means, just so you know, that they can come from Denver, they can come from Wyoming, But what about the contractors here? Sure. So I advocate that we try to use every great contractor here before we reach out anywhere. That's why I am a community advocate. I want to show our contractors here, it can be done, we can do it, we just have to get through the paperwork.
Well, thanks for being on the show today. I appreciate it, Leah. It's been a pleasure talking with you. Again, I'm Rob Canfield, signing off. Public speaking. What are we really afraid of? Hi, I'm Rob Canfield, and I'm a member of Moser Community Toastmasters in Portland, Oregon. Today, I'm going to tell you why so many people are afraid of public speaking, and then I'm going to give you some tips and tricks you can use to manage your fear of public speaking. Did you know that a recent Gallup poll said that 40% of people fear having to speak in public? But why? I mean, what are we really afraid of? And one thing you may not have thought about, but did you know that there are real world consequences of being afraid to speak in public? For instance, you're going to get paid less than 10% than other people. You're also going to have a 10% less chance of graduating from college, and you'll also have a 15% less chance of that job promotion you want. So there are definite consequences if you're afraid to speak in public. But fear not. I have a solution to control your fear of public speaking. Do you know what the solution is? Well, there are 3 steps. 1 is preparation. Step 2, confidence and control. And number 3, humor. That's right. Now, step 1, to reduce your fear of public speaking, you need to do what NASA astronauts do, and that's practice. Practice, practice, practice. NASA astronauts practice constantly to desensitize them to the reality of getting inside a rocket that was built by the lowest bidder. That's right. They practice and practice some more. Now remember, you won't have to get inside a rocket that was built by the lowest bidder, but practice will help to desensitize your fear of speaking in public. So practice, practice, practice at home, practice a few more times, and then practice again. Practice your speech at home. Also, at work, speak up at work whenever you can. Speak up when you're out of town with your friends. And speak up before or after social events. You're getting practice. Now this type of practice will go a long way towards you reducing your fear of speaking in public. Now step 2 is continue to practice. That's right, this is hard work. You need to continue to practice. Now, why is that? Well, that's because practice creates confidence. And I can't emphasize this point enough. Practice creates confidence. And confidence will give you a feeling of control. You will begin to realize, hey, I can do this. Practice creates confidence, and confidence will give you control. Remember that. You'll get the feeling of, I can do this. Now, I'd like to share a personal story about practice that affected my life several years ago. I had just been promoted to an account executive for a major telecommunications company. And the job consisted of calling on small, medium, and large businesses decision makers. Boy, I got to tell you, I was scared to death. And when I first started going on appointments, I'd drive around the block several times in an attempt to steady my nerves. Yeah, I was pretty much terrified. And a few times I worked myself into such a fearful frenzy that I had to stop somewhere and use the restroom because I got nauseated. So I asked for help. I asked a fellow account executive to help me. And he pretended to be a customer, and I practiced the different ways to get to know a perfect stranger, develop rapport, and make sales presentations. And it worked. Just practicing those sales calls with my buddy, practice helped make me more confident. And after a dozen or so real appointments, kind of still afraid, but I went real appointments with real customers, my fear of speaking in public in front of others gradually decreased. Now, step 3, I got some humor for you. You know, we're not talking about creating world peace. You need to lighten up a little. Humor banishes anxiety. It really does. Humor goes a long way towards putting your fears in perspective. I mean, you're really not going to die if you screw up public speaking. You got to put it in perspective. Now, the payoff for you will be more effective at work. You will be more effective advocating for a favorite cause or project you have, and you will be much more effective when talking to your friends. And now here is the Toastmasters plug. You didn't think you were going to get away with me plugging Toastmasters, did you? Your confidence will give you the motivation to join a local Toastmasters club. And that's my call to action for you. Visit a local Toastmasters club. How do you do that? You go to toastmasters.org and you can find clubs in your area. And then your local club will help you learn to speak, lead, and grow with people who care about you. And that's it. Thanks for watching this segment of TV Toastmasters. I'm Rob Canfield. Thanks for watching.
I joined Toastmasters to improve my speaking, listening, communication, and leadership skills.
Toastmasters gave me
incredible confidence,
confidence,
great listening skills,
poise,
great leadership skills,
leadership skills,
the ability to speak in public,
strength,
a captive audience,
quality feedback from the more experienced Toastmasters.
Toastmasters really helped me improve my listening skills.
sales skills,
opportunities to go to different groups and widen my whole horizon.
Toastmasters has given me a more focused me, and I'm a much better listener. Toastmasters is fulfilling.
It's a great place to fail your way to success.
wonderful way to meet people,
networking,
strength.
It's addictive.
It's a club of self-improvement.
It's an experience, it's a ride that you won't forget, and you'll enjoy it every step of the way.
Toastmasters helped me land a kick-butt job.
I sang at one of my table topic speeches, and people liked it and applauded.
My business is doing great, and I'm very, very grateful to Toastmasters.
It's been a great experience for me.
Thank you, Toastmasters.
Thank you, Toastmasters.
Thank you, Toastmasters, for giving me so much confidence.
Thank you, Toastmasters, for everything.
Welcome to an opportunity to take the next step of your professional speaking journey. I want you to be honest with yourself. Have you ever wished you were a star in a television show? Or at an event where the media is interviewing bystanders and you are wanting to be picked to give your opinion of the event? Or even in the smallest sense, you're at a sports game and secretly hope that your smiling face would appear on that big jumbo screen TV? But the jumbo screen always finds the fans with the painted faces. And you think to yourself, maybe next time. Well, what if I can offer you a chance to be on TV? Would you take it? That is what I want to offer you now. I'm Dottie Love, Associate TV Producer and Director. Toastmasters International is one of the largest organizations whose mission is to help improve your speaking skills. And District 7 is expanding your opportunities to do speaking via television. We have 4 fully equipped television studios and TV Toastmaster broadcasts to over 500,000 homes, plus a YouTube channel. Who knew? We want to invite you to take advantage of using media and television, either in front or behind the scenes. Let me share a few options that you have. First, you can be a guest on a show. Highlight your business or hobby or your community interest. Anything you're passionate about. Be a featured guest. Secondly, you can train to be a host on an ongoing TV segment? We will train you for that. Third, what about creating your own talk show? We will train you for that as well and give you access to a community media studio to do just that. Or lastly, be behind the scenes, either running a camera or editing shows. You decide which avenue is best for you, and our TV Toastmasters team will help you to navigate to get the most out of your media experience. Personally, I've done them all. I started as a guest, went to hosting, up to directing my own TV show. I don't tell you this to impress you. I tell you this to impress upon you that your personal growth with Toastmasters is directly related to what you take advantage of. And I encourage you to be bold in looking for opportunities to stretch and grow. If this intrigues you, or if you have club members who you think that might be interested in this, please contact us here at TV Toastmasters. I'm Dottie Love, and you can reach me or any of us in the TV Toastmasters family at the contact information at the bottom of the screen. You can also find us on the web. Our website is 7512.toastmastersclub.org.
Hi, I'm Deb Hart. I'd just like to share with you how appreciative I am of being able to be a TV Toastmaster host. I get to share stories within the community, have people come on the show and educate the viewers, and talk about a subject that I'm very familiar with, and that's health. I encourage you to come aboard and be a part of our TV Toastmasters Host Club. It's fun. You'll have a good time.
Have a story that others need to hear? Seeking an audience for your message? Have an experience that can transform the lives of others? Practice your message and perfect its delivery in a TV studio while creating content for regional, national, and international exposure. That's right, get seen by an ever-increasing audience. Visit TV Toastmasters.
Ken Coombs here speaking about TV Toastmasters. As an area director, I see more value in that venue than perhaps some of you do, so I want to share that. Providing a televised voice for District 7, its clubs, and their members not only gives people a chance to come here and get a project ticked off that says speak on television, it gives contestants in an area contest or a division or a district contest at least a chance to come and practice and see what they look like. It gives people a chance to share an important message with the district, whatever that might be. So consider your next speech perhaps being on television. Not your 15 minutes of fame, but your chance to reach a broader audience.